Okay, hey everybody. I just want to do a quick video. I don't really do much videos, and this is not going to be like a step-by-step process, but I'm working on this 2002 f150 5.4 liter. We had a spark plug blowout, and after that somehow the starter went out too, and I'll kind of explain what the problem was. But the main thing right now, I had a friend of mine, he was doing this by himself, and he said, man, I looked at YouTube, didn't see any videos worth the damn. So I already put the starter in, so let me wipe the fog off here. It's a little bit better. Anyways, the starter's got 3 bolts, okay? Those are 2 right there. I realize that I have a lift, and you may not have a lift. However, what I did is I took the tire off, because these 2 bolts were just easier. You can take this and kind of lift it up out of the way. If you have a long extension, you can get in here to those 2 bolts. Okay, so those are the top 2 bolts. Fit them up, focus. Okay, I got a light in there. We're going to lift it up because I want to show you just some of the main things that were a problem for him, that when I came back, everything was backwards and messed up, and he said, oh, I didn't know. Okay, we'll go all the way up. All right, so going back to here. Okay, here's the bottom. So here's the 3rd bolt. Okay, so you have this bolt here, the one on the very top that everybody says is a pain. This bolt here, you can see this bolt here has a stud. Why? For the ground. So what he did, he looked at these wires right here, which I have bungeed. They're already off. I realized I could have done a better video, but there's basically 3 wires. Okay, here's the little wire. You can see it's little. It's a single wire. This is going to be your ignition wire. Okay, this is what sends the signal. Okay, and I think he had messed this tab up from earlier, but that's what he's got. Okay, then we got these 2 big fat wires. Okay, and just disclaimer, when you're working with these positive wires, okay, undo the battery. Okay, when I was younger, I didn't do that. And then I'd do this, and it'd spark everywhere. You know, I'd be like, what the hell? Just undo the battery, okay? This wire with these 2, okay, it's black, okay? So it's ground. You can't see this one because it's covered, okay? However, if you notice, one is a little longer than the other, okay? So what my friend did is he said, I'm going to put this on here, which that's where it goes. Okay, that's positive. Goes on the big lug. Nothing goes on, let's see, nothing goes on this. This here has your strap that goes into the starter. Okay, so here's your positive. Here's your signal wire. Those are the 2, okay? Then this ground, okay, goes to the stud. Okay, it goes all the way in so that tab is kind of sitting like that. Okay, so these 2 wires, ground. This wire is covered, battery. This one's signal wire. Now I'm going to put those on there. Okay, but for the purpose of this video, that's how it goes. He said it was hard to find or somebody explained that, so there it is for those who don't know. Now, let me pause this. I'll get with you in 2 seconds. Okay, so I put the car down, okay, and what I'm really wanting to show you is the main problem with this was the spark plug way in the back. That one back there. Now, that's the fuel injection. You can see the coil pack way right there. Okay, well, it blew out of the head, as these 5.4s do, and it was the furthest one in the back. you know, typical. And why does that matter? Because I've learned if I want to get to the back here, I'm going to move everything I can. That included all the wiring and the harness. This wire to the alternator was in my way. This wire here is in my way. Battery, everything come out fine. When we undid these here, okay, he helped me, and when he put it back together, I wasn't here. So what he did is he took this alternator wire, okay, and he put it to this one. Well, the problem is that these two wires are separate. I know it looks together, but these are separate. The small wire and big wire, okay? This has power all the time. This has key power, okay? Well, when he did the alternator and put it here, and I went to start the car, the alternator is giving power to here, which is allowing the starter to try and start. Okay, so the motor's running, the starter solenoid is kicking out, and then all of a sudden, it didn't take long, 5 seconds, you heard the gear hit and ruin the starter. Okay, so because this alternator wire was on the wrong location, it was here instead of here, it caused the starter to not disengage once the car was running. There is a couple of videos down there specifically about that I saw, and they're fine. But the long story short is that we had an issue with the starter. My friend didn't know how to undo it. That's how the wires go together. This is how these two wires, this power wire right here, this alternator wire here goes on the bottom lug. This one here is the only one that goes on the top lug. It's the small wire. And of course, this is your signal wire from the ignition to kick this, to kick the starter. Okay, so as far as proper wire placement, that's what you got. We ran into a bad starter. We ruined 2 starters because this was off. Why? Because this was out of the way. Why? Because I was doing a spark plug. So go to do the spark plug, end up being a new starter. And actually, that's the 3rd starter that's in there because he had the wires and everything all backwards. So hope maybe this helps people diagnose or at least give you an idea what wires go where. If you're doing this type of work, you should at least have some sort of idea on how to take the starter out and stuff like that. So we're just going to assume you know that, but if you don't know those details, now you know. All right, thanks guys.